Hare Krishna. Let's see if I have my watch somewhere. Jaya Damadava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Damadava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balahava Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balahava Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatihira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jayalanta Madhava Kunjabihari Madhava Kunjabihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nityalita Pavishnamashtapad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Stotara Satarshi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami, Savior of the World, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Iskcon BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Jagadguru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's see, was something I wanted to share. You may have heard these. This was put together by Keshava Bharati Maharaj. So I won't read the Sanskrit just due to time constraint, but this is the Srimad Bhagavat Mahima Stotram from the Sri Krishna Leela Stava of Srila Sanatan Goswami. This is a glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam. You may be familiar because they make these cards and they give them out. So some of you may have these cards that have 5 verses in. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. It is very deep. Text 413. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. 414. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. 415. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down before you. The last one, 416. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and voice with pure love. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So this was translated by Gopi Puranadana Prabhu, and it says, thanks to His Holiness Keshava Bharati Das Goswami Maharaj for always encouraging us to hear every day. And that's like really true. He walks the walk, and he talks the talk and walks the walk like anything. So we're in Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning new chapter 63, and on the board it says text 1 through 6, I believe it says there. So we'll see which text is on the board. 6 is it? Probably. Oh, it doesn't say. Well, anyway, what is it? Bhagavan Nidram? Well, I can't read that. What's the number of the text? 6. 6. Thank you. All right, so chapter 63. So I'll read. There's also an introduction. I think I'm supposed to read that. It gives an overview of the chapter. So we'll hear that, and then I'll just read the first 5 texts, and then we'll chant together 6. Lord Krishna fights with Bhanasura. This chapter describes the battle between Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva, as well as Shiva's glorification of Krishna after the Lord had cut off Bhanasura's arms. When Aniruddha did not return from Shonitapur, his family and friends passed the 4 months of the rainy season in extreme distress. Okay, now who could tell me why did Aniruddha not return from this place called Shonitapur? Nagapasha. He was bound. He couldn't move. And who did that? Bhanasura. Bhanasura was very powerful. He had so many arms. He had a whole army of arms. So he was able to capture the almost invincible. And it's described that we were finally finding the evidence that this Aniruddha is actually Vishnu Tattva. So how can anyone defeat Vishnu? So it's called Leela Shakti. Do any bhaktas know Leela Shakti? What is Shakti? Shakti is the energy, the power. And Leela, you know Leela, what that word means? Pastimes, correct. So you got that. So Leela Shakti is the potency of pastime potency. So due to that potency, this was allowed to happen. It's also often under the influence of Yoga Maya. Now, we also heard that that friend of Usha, her name was Chitralekha, expert at drawing. Now, she is also described by some of the acharyas or commentators as Yoga Maya, or expansion of Yoga Maya. This doesn't cooperate so much. All right, I'll just leave it. So the introduction. When Aniruddha did not return from Shonitapur, his family and friends passed the 4 months of the rainy season in extreme distress. When they finally heard from Narada Muni how Aniruddha had been captured, a large army of the best Yadava warriors under Krishna's protection set off for Banasura's capital and laid siege to it. So nowadays we have the internet. In those days we had Narada Muni. He would often spread the word, what's going on here and there, tell what's even going to happen in the future. Banasura fiercely opposed them with his own army of equal size. To help Banasura, Lord Shiva, accompanied by Kartikeya and a horde of mystic sages, took up arms against Balaram and Krishna. Senaninam aham skanda, that's from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10. That means among great generals, I am Kartikeya, one of the 2 sons of Lord Shiva and Parvati. The other one, of course, is Ganesha. So Lord Shiva, accompanied by Kartikeya and a horde of mystic sages, took up arms against Balaram and Krishna. It's amazing. Lord Shiva is the Vaishnavanam Yatav Shavu. He's the greatest devotee of Krishna, and now it's saying that he's going to fight with Krishna. Things like that sometimes happen due to circumstances. And ultimately, it's all Krishna's enjoyment. These things happen. And then we was reading, then Lord Shiva will end up glorifying Krishna when he's defeated. Bana began fighting against Satyaki, and Bana's son, Bana means Banasura, and Bana's son fought against Samba. Samba also got captured by the Kauravas, and Lord Balaram came and was going to take the whole Hastinapura, and with his plow he was going to drag it into the ocean. And then the Kauravas came to their senses and released Shamba. That was another pastime. All the demigods assembled in the sky to witness the battle. With his arrows, Lord Krishna harassed the followers of Lord Shiva, and by putting Lord Shiva into a state of confusion, he was able to destroy Banasura's army. Kartikeya was so strongly beaten by Pradyumna that he fled the battlefield. Whoa! While the remnants of Banasura's army, harried by the blows of Lord Balaram's club, scattered in all directions. Enraged to see his army's destruction, Banasura rushed Krishna to attack him. In other words, he charged. But the Lord immediately killed Bana's chariot driver and broke his chariot and bow. And then he sounded his Panchajanya Kancho. Next, Banasura's mother, trying to save her son, appeared naked in front of Lord Krishna, who averted his face to avoid looking at her. Seeing his chance, Bana fled into his city. Yes, generally, the default mode is that Krishna sets example. Yajara charati, so that's proper behavior. the example, the demigods also, when Mohini Murti entered the arena of the demigods and the demons, the demons, their eyes were practically popping out of their head to see Mohini Murti. That's an incarnation of the Lord in the form of the most beautiful woman. You can imagine how beautiful she would be and how attractive. And the demons were just looking, whereas the demigods were chaste. They were looking down. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you. So seeing his chance, Bana fled into his city. So the Kshatriya, one of the characteristics of a Kshatriya described in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 18 is, around text 49 or so, is Yude Chapya Palayanam, is that he never turns his back on the enemy. In other words, he'll never flee from the battle. But sometimes things get so intense that even great heroes, because he's demoniac, but still a hero, Banasura, or Kartikeya, is a great general, described as Vibhuti of Lord Sri Krishna in chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita. Even he fled from the battlefield. And here we hear the great Banasura took advantage. He was actually saved by his mother, who had this tactic. I mean, you know, mother will do anything just to save the child. So he fled into his city, Shonitapur. After Lord Krishna had thoroughly defeated the ghosts and hobgoblins fighting under Lord Shiva, the Shiva Jvara weapon, a personification of fever or great heat, with 3 heads and 3 legs, approached Lord Krishna to fight him. Seeing the Shiva Jvara, Krishna released his Vishnu Jvara. Now when you hear this, I know especially newer people, they say, I can't, but this is too much. 3 heads and 3 legs, I mean, you know, I'm supposed to believe that? Well, all I can suggest, it's a big universe. And this is millions of years ago, so we can't say we know everything that could have happened and could not have happened. The question is then, how do we have this information? Well, that's mercy that we have. This is a history of the universe, the important events related to Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam, Purana. Seeing the Shiva Jvara, Krishna released his Vishnu Jvara. The Shiva Jvara was overwhelmed by the Vishnu Jvara, having nowhere else to turn for shelter. The Shiva Jvara began to address Lord Krishna, glorifying him and asking for mercy. Lord Krishna was pleased with the Shiva Jvara, and the Lord Jvara means fever actually, and after the Lord had promised him freedom from fear, the Shiva Jvara bowed down to him and departed. Shiva Jvara is heat and Narayan Jvara is extreme cold. So the cold overcame the heat. Next, Banasura returned and attacked Lord Sri Krishna again, wielding all kinds of weapons in his 1,000 hands. So he had 1,000 arms. I was confused. It was 100 or 1,000. Here it's confirmed it was actually 1,000. I got to get the numbers straight. Actually, if he had 1,000 hands, that means he had 500 arms. So, does anyone know, did he have 1,000 arms or 500 arms? If he had 1,000 arms, he should have had 2,000 hands. So, I'll report this to Dravida Prabhu, the editorial department, see how this works in the introduction. Could maybe oh, wait a second, you're right. I'm messed up here. Yeah, if he has I'm thinking like you have a pair of, you have 2 arms. If he has 1,000 arms, he has 1,000. I'm sorry. Okay, cancel that. I'm not going to call Dravid in the editorial, make a fool out of myself more than I already have. So he has 1,000 arms, he has 1,000 hands. Right, okay. I love to find editorial errors, but this was not one of them. Okay. Lord Krishna took his Sudarshan disc and began cutting off all of the demon's arms. Lord Shiva approached Krishna to pray for Banasura's life, and when the Lord agreed to spare him, he spoke as follows to Shiva. Banasura does not deserve to die, since he was born in the family of Prahlad Maharaj. It describes he's the son of Bali, and Bali's the grandson. Virochana is the, isn't it? Virochana is the father of Bali, and then the father of Virochana is the great Prahlad, the grandfather of Bali. So Banasura does not deserve to die. He spoke as follows to Lord Krishna. So he was kind of concurring with the idea of sparing his life. There's another reason, not just that you asked me to, but actually he doesn't deserve to die because he's in this great family. I have severed all but 4 of Bana's arms just to destroy his false pride, and I have annihilated his army because they were a burden to the earth. Henceforward he will be free from old age and death, and remaining fearless in all circumstances, he will be one of your principal attendants. Your attendants means Lord Shiva. And Banasura was devotee of Lord Shiva. He used to please Lord Shiva by using, when he had those 1,000 arms that Lord Shiva bestowed upon him, can you imagine what kind of drum playing you could do with 1,000 arms, 1,000 hands? It was quite pleasing to Lord Shiva when he did his special dance. So now again he's back in the service of Lord Shiva. Assured he had nothing to fear, Banasura then offered his obeisances to Lord Krishna and had Usha and Aniruddha seated on their wedding chariot and brought before the Lord. Krishna then set off to Dwarka with Aniruddha and his bride leading the procession. When the newlyweds arrived at the Lord's capital, they were honored by the citizens, the Lord's relatives, and the brahmanas. So I understand it's text 6 on the board, so I'll read the first 5. Text 1. Shishuka uvacham apashyatam chanirudam tadbandunam chabharatam chatfaro varshika masha vyatiyur anusochatam. Shukadev Goswami said, "O descendant of Bharat, the relatives of Aniruddha, not seeing him return, continued to lament as the 4 rainy months passed." That's called Chaturmas. Text 2. Navadattad upakarnya vartam buddhasya karmacha prayayu shonita puram vishnaya krishna daivataha. After hearing from Narada the news of Aniruddha's deeds and his capture, the Vrishnis, who worship Lord Krishna as their personal deity, went to Shonitapur. Next we have text 3 and 4 combined. Prajumno, Yuyadanascha, Nanda, Upananda, Bhadra, and others converged with an army of 12 divisions and laid siege to Banasura's capital, completely surrounding the city on all sides. Text 5. Bhajyamana purojana prakaratala puram prekshamano rushavistas tulya shainyo binir yayao. Translation, text 5. Banasura became filled with anger upon seeing them destroy his city's suburban gardens, ramparts, watchtowers, and gateways, and thus he went out to confront them with an army of equal size. Imagine how angry you would get if someone came and started breaking up your house. I was in a situation like that once in Venezuela, in Caracas. Text 6 has a purport. Banarte Bhagavan Rudra Sa Suta Pramatayar Vrita Aruya Nandi Vrishabham Yuyude Rama Krishnayo Panarte Bhagavan Rudra Sasata Pramatayar Vritai Vritaha, sorry. Aruya Nandi Vrishabham Yuyude Ramakrishnayo Banarte Bhagavan Rudra Sasuta Pramatayar Vritaha Aruya Nandi Vrishabham Yuyude Ramakrishnayo Panarte Bhagavan Rudraha Sasuta Pramatayar Vritaha Aruya Nandi Vrishabham Yuyude Ramakrishnayo Panarte Bhagavan Rudra Sasuta Pramatayar Vritaha Aruya Nandi Vrishabham Yuyude Ramakrishnayo Panarte Bhagavan Rudra Sasuta Pramatayar Vritaha Aruya Nandi Vrishabham Yuyude Ramakrishnayo Mataji Panarte Bhagavan Rudra Sasuta Pramatayar Vritaha Aruya Nandi Vrishabham Yuyude Ramakrishnayo Banarte Bhagavan Rudra Sasuta Pramatayar Vritaha Aruya Nandi Vrishabham Yuyude Ramakrishnayo Bana Arte. For Bana's sake, Bhagavan Rudra, Lord Shiva. You notice the word Bhagavan can sometimes be used for very, very great personalities, but the ultimate Bhagavan is the Lord, Krishna, or Vishnu. Sasuta, together with his son, Kartikeya, the general of the demigod's army. Pramatai, by the Pramatas, mystic sages who always attend Lord Shiva, appearing in a multitude of forms. Vrita, accompanied. Aruya, riding. Nandi, on Nandi. Vrishabham, his bull. Yuyude, he fought. Ramakrishnayo, with Balaram and Krishna. Translation and purport by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Lord Rudra, accompanied by his son Kartikeya and the Pramatas, came riding on Nandi, his bull carrier, to fight Balaram and Krishna on Bana's behalf. Please repeat. Lord Rudra, accompanied by his son Kartikeya and the Pramatas, came riding on Nandi, his bull carrier, to fight Balaram and Krishna on Bana's behalf. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami states that the word Bhagavan is used here to indicate that Lord Shiva is by nature all-knowing and thus well aware of Lord Krishna's greatness. Still, although Shiva knew Lord Krishna would defeat him, he joined the battle against him to demonstrate the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that Lord Shiva entered the battle for two reasons. First, to increase Lord Krishna's pleasure and enthusiasm, and second, to demonstrate that the Lord's incarnation as Krishna, although enacting human-like pastimes, is superior to other avatars, such as Lord Ramachandra. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti further states in this regard that Yogamaya, Lord Krishna's internal potency, bewildered Lord Shiva just as she had bewildered Brahma. In support of this statement, the Acharya cites the phrase Brahma Rudradi Mohanam from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Of course, Yogamaya's job is to make fine arrangements for the Lord's pastimes, and thus Shiva became enthusiastic to battle the Supreme Lord Krishna. Translation again. Lord Ruja, accompanied by his son Kartikeya and the Pramatas, came riding on Nandi, his bull carriers, to fight Balaram and Krishna on Bana's behalf. So we get, again, the BBT team didn't really introduce their own comments, but rather just quoted or cited the comments now not only of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but also of Sridhar Swami, the first commentator of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya set the example when one of his associates, Balavabhata Acharya, he was a great scholar and a great devotee, but he had a little pride that was not so much appropriate. And he told Lord Chaitanya, I have written a commentary on the Bhagavatam that's superior to Sridhar Swami's. Jai Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Shri Vrata Nilamadava ki Jai, Shri Giriraj, Shri Giri Radha Giridhari ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. So in response, Lord Chaitanya said, well, you're a prostitute. Now, why is he a prostitute? Because we have to be chaste in the sense we have to follow the master. We have to follow the Swami, Sridhar Swami. In other words, we have to follow our masters. If we're not following the master, then we're unchaste. Why? So actually, Balavabhata came to his senses. He shouldn't be so proud of his, even though he was a great scholar and maybe his commentary had some new insights, but he shouldn't have presented like that. So Lord Chaitanya corrected him, and so we get these there are 6, 7, 8 prominent commentators, Vaishnava, from different sampradayas of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sridhar Swami is the earliest. So Yogamaya has a job to make fine arrangements for the Lord's pastimes, and thus Shiva became enthusiastic to battle the Supreme Lord Krishna. And then Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Brahma Rudradi Mohanam, to support the statement that Lord Krishna's internal potency, Yogamaya, bewildered Lord Shiva, just as she had bewildered Brahma. Which bewilderment of Brahma? The Brahma Vimohan Leela, when he was testing Krishna and stole the cowherd boys and calves, or when he actually did something. Sometimes we hear it wasn't our Lord Brahma, it was a different creation, but Lord Brahma, he started feeling attraction to his own daughter, which was very anomalous, teaching us a lesson of the power of Maya. Whether it's Yoga Maya or Mahamaya, it gets complicated. So I don't quite understand how this comes out like that, but it says that one of the purposes of Lord Shiva entering the battle, he said there were two purposes. One is to increase Lord Krishna's pleasure, enthusiasm, which is understandable. If you're going to fight with someone, that's what we're hearing about Banasura himself. He wanted to have a good fight. You know, like when Jarasandha, no, I'm not going to fight with Arjuna, he's just a kid. I'm not going to fight with Krishna, he's a coward. He already ran away from the field of battle 17 times. But this looks like a good opponent for me, indicating Bhimasena. He's qualified to fight with me. So sometimes people want to pick sometimes it says you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your enemies. But sometimes you can pick your enemy. So he decided to fight with Bhimasena. So here also, Lord Shiva certainly could put up a good fight, like anything. So he, to increase the Lord's pleasure and gusto and elan and enthusiasm for fighting, he personally engaged. It's a type of service. Is it the same idea or the same mood or the same rasa as when Bhishma Dev was fighting with Krishna in the Battle of Kurukshetra? Well, at least in a general sense, it's similar. That you have a devotee of the Lord. Lord Shiva is devotee of Krishna. Bhishma Dev is devotee of Krishna. In fact, he's one of the 12 Mahajans, the great authorities in devotional service. And yet he's fighting with all his strength against Krishna. Of course, there's that picture where he's not fighting. I guess at a certain point he stopped. But there was also, he was shooting arrows and at Arjuna and Krishna. And that's the whole story, how he made that promise to Duryodhana that either Krishna will break his promise or Arjuna will be finished tomorrow. So Duryodhana was very pleased. And how break his promise? Because Krishna promised he wouldn't actively engage in the battle. He'll just be the chariot driver and give guidance and mercy and support to Arjuna and the Pandavas. So he wasn't supposed to fight. But out of love for his devotee, when he was seeing his devotee is about to be killed by Bhishma Dev's superior strength, then he started charging, and Arjuna ran after him and grabbed him by the leg. At least that's what the picture shows. And said, no, okay, I'll fight. Arjuna was hesitant to attack his revered great-grandfather or grandfather, Bhishma Dev. Meanwhile, Bhishma Dev was relishing this, seeing Krishna Partha Sadati. Sometimes it's described that, anyway, I don't want to go too much off the topic of Banasura and Lord Shiva. But I'm just mentioning this incident because there's a certain parallel aspect where a devotee of the Lord actually fights with the Lord to please the Lord. Of course, the other famous example we read about so much in Bhagavatam is Jai and Vijay. They're the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, and they didn't exactly fall down the way we supposedly fell down from the spiritual world and came to the material world, but they was a special arrangement by the Lord. They committed offense against Goddess of Fortune, then they committed offense against the four Kumaras, and then the four Kumaras cursed them, so they had to come to the material world. And they take 3 births as demons. 3 pairs of demons are actually Jai and Vijay. So in each of those births, they had the privilege of fighting with the Lord, and they gave him good fight. And the Lord enjoys that. Again, the idea, if you're really a Kshatriya or if you're God, which we're not, but you can, you get more satisfaction when make my day. Remember, you get more satisfaction when the enemy is very worthy of your own strength. So Brahma Rudradi Mohanam, that the Lord's Maya, Yoga Maya or Mahamaya, in our case, unfortunately, bewilders everyone. Mohayam Maya, Rudradi, Brahma Rudra Adi Mohanam. Of all the Rudras, Lord Shiva, Shankara, Adi, Rudradi, Mohanam, I bewildered. Krishna also describes that the demigods, they're also bewildered because he's comes before the demigods. Aham adir hi devanam maharshinam cha sarvasha. Aham hi that I'm they even the great sages and demigods cannot know my my power and my opulence, because I am the very source of the demigods and sages. They can't understand their own source, which is me, Krishna says. Chapter 10, second chapter. Name vidur suragana maharshinam pravavam na maharshi aham adir hi devanam maharshinam cha sarvasa. So Krishna is very well situated in every respect, including his ability to bewilder even great demigods and sages, what to speak of demons. So even Lord Shiva, he became bewildered by Yogamaya in order to induce Lord Shiva to do this thing which seemed out of his character, to actually challenge his object of devotion, which is Lord Vishnu. So you need a good dose of Yogamaya to do something like that. Even Krishna himself allows himself to become influenced by his own Yogamaya. This is something that we shouldn't misunderstand. You know, on the one hand, Queen Kunti, she describes Krishna's pastimes as so bewildering to people, including herself. Vidambana, very bewildering, because they seem to be human. Nrinam vidambanam. They seem to be nrina, or human, but they're actually so bewildering. And she describes that it's just like an actor, natto natya daro yata, just like an actor, natto is not recognized when he's on the stage acting a certain role. But Krishna is not like a professional actor, or not like an actor. In other words, well, sometimes that actually happens in a play where the characters, they identify so much. There's a funny incident where a friend of mine, a devotee, was playing Kamsa in a play in Bogota, Colombia. And he was so into it that for the next day or two, he became demoniac. And I had to get him to stop, get out of that mood now. The play's over, stop being like that. So sometimes the actor, so that's what happens with Krishna actually. He allows himself to become bewildered. Therefore, he's not just putting on a show of being afraid of Mother Yashoda. He actually feels like a baby afraid of his mother. That makes the whole thing real on an emotional level. It makes the whole thing. Otherwise, how would it be fun for Krishna? It's like it says here that Yogamaya has a job to do to enhance the pastimes. In this case, she bewildered Lord Shiva, so Lord Shiva actually went and attacked his worshipful Lord, Vishnu. And that gave him the impetus to enhance the Lord's pleasure by giving the Lord a good sporting situation. So Krishna allows himself to become affected by his own Yogamaya. So otherwise, because we hear Yogamaya has a job to do, but Krishna doesn't have a job to do. Krishna's pastimes, it's just like sport, it's just to enjoy. Krishna's only business, if you call it business, is to enjoy. Is the distinction between Krishna and Krishna as Lord Vishnu in that aspect. Then there's a mission, paritranaya sadhunam vidya. But Krishna is simply to enjoy. So how would Krishna enjoy? It would be like he's doing a job if he were just acting and he knew that he was God and that there's nothing to fear of a little stick or a rope in the hand of his mother. That wouldn't be fun. And because Mother Yashoda is so superbly Krishna conscious in the mood of mother, then as a mother, wouldn't she pick up, hey, my son's not really afraid, he's just pretending. I mean, mothers know that, they can feel what the little boy is doing. So to make it actually real on an emotional level, Krishna actually feels some fear. And Queen Kunti sees that, and he says, Samam vimohayati bir api yad vabheti. This is completely bewildering to me. That you're feared by fear personified, say Yamaraj or death. You're feared by fear personified, and yet you're afraid of the rope in the hand or the stick in the hand of Mother Yashoda. This indeed is bewildering me. This is like 3 or 4 times Queen Kunti says how bewildering this is. So we shouldn't be bewildered because we're bewildered. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised that these pastimes are so mysterious in so many ways, because we're dealing with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and things are not so ordinary or quite so simple as we might like them to be. So Lord Rudra, accompanied by his son Kartikeya and the Pramatas, came riding on Nandi, his bull carrier, to fight Balaram and Krishna on Bana's behalf. Does anyone have anything to add or correction or question? Or 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Just made it. Sarvabhauma. You want to give him the microphone?
Just to carry over from yesterday's verses about Ani, Ruda, and Usha, I think somewhere Prabhupada says that there's some medicine system where you give some small dose of something that's not good, and then the body builds up resistance to it. I think that you do that sometimes in some medicine system in India. So sometimes you hear, I think the idea was you hear some pastimes that might involve violence or romance or things that materially are entangling, but when they're related to Krishna, they're not only are they not entangling, but they're purifying. Just a point.
Well, I was able to understand 50%. And the first part I couldn't understand so well, what you're saying. I'm sorry, it's my own defect. But
maybe it's homeopathic medicine where they give something, or they give some medicine, they give some germs, but the body builds resistance to it. When you're healthy,
it looks like
homeopathic medicine or some kinds of medicine where they give some small amount of bacteria or something, then the body...
Some small amount of...
Bacteria.
Material.
Or something like that, and then the body develops resistance to it. So hearing about material things like violent fights or romantic encounters, when it's about Krishna, the body... somehow it's purifying. It's not bad for the...
Yeah, things which ordinarily would be very mundane and not very important, not for us to hear, but in relation to Krishna it becomes purifying. Is that what you're saying? At the beginning I think you gave a specific example, but that I couldn't catch so well. So yeah, the point is well taken. We were talking about that the last couple of days, the thing we're hearing about, especially the romance between Aniruddha and Usha, and it seems so, something you read in they have these, I don't know if they still have them in the bookstores, they have all these romance novels, and usually ladies like to buy those, and this could be a novel like that, but it's not like that. It's actually purifying. It's actually, because actually, as we learned, that Aniruddha is actually directly Lord Vishnu. He's Vishnu Tattva. And so this is not ordinary. The next step is not to become jealous or envious, that I'm not the one. That if we have that attitude, then our purification is slowed down. But if we can just appreciate, let Krishna enjoy. It's wonderful. He's the Supreme Lord. Let me facilitate his enjoyment. Then that's so wonderful. That's not very common. That's why we practice sadhana bhakti, and we chant our rounds, and there's a certain discipline, so that we can become purified. And when we become purified, the more we become capable of really sincerely wanting Krishna to be happy and enjoy like anything. The ultimate expression of that is Srimati Radharani, who she expresses that if Krishna wants to enjoy with another woman, another gopi, someone else, whoever it may be, and he wants more than me, he wants to enjoy, I'll go and fall at the feet of that lady and beg her to go to please Krishna. So that's what you call immaculate 100% purity. The only desire is to please Krishna. Of course, Krishna is most pleased by Radharani. Jai Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai. This is a mystical curtains we have here. They make a mystical sound and they open and close in a mystical way. Queen Kunti talks about the curtain also. Maya Janavi Kach Janam Adyad Hoksati Avyayam Alakshase Mudadrisha Natyo Natta Taro Yatam. You're covered by the curtain of Maya. So now Krishna is not covered by the curtain of Maya. We can see directly. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Tagore Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you. I just want to announce that I'm not going to be giving class every day, so I don't want you to become worried about that. Tomorrow, yes, and then, I'm just sort of pending. It's a little bit like a group effort as who gives class and who doesn't, so I'm just kind of on hold and see what happens. Hare Krishna.